Yeah,
Sorry, I'm just having my dinner.
unless you guys weren't ready. Alright, welcome to Google Hangouts. My name is Brandon.
My name is Lily.
My name is Calvin.
And we are what digital yo-yos.
Woo! Yo-yos.
Yo-yos.
Yo-yos for
Yo-yo.
life.
On the first hangout we did, I put digital YOLO.
YOLO. Cool.
Okay, so
Okay.
when I first saw that today's topic was what is love, my first thought was to start off the hangout being like, "Don't hurt me, don't hurt me."
No,
But then I saw
yeah.
that he would put the video like on the page, and I was like, "Dang it!"
This music is so old.
It's still
I
great.
like that first song, by the way. That's a good song to work out to.
Yeah,
Yeah, upbeat, the tempo. Anyway.
it's true.
Um,
Okay,
okay, let's go to
so
the side.
for today's Google Hangout, let's talk about the following questions. What does love mean for these writers? How does love affect the way we see another person? Does this necessarily need to happen as far as these writers are concerned? And do you agree with the definitions of love that these writers use? Okay. Hold on. Let me
So
open
the
the.
two writers that we had, I can't even say his last name. Luis Irigari,
Yeah.
and Renata Salazar. Probably slaughtering it. Um, this is how we I
Oh my
love you.
gosh. The thing was so long.
Yeah, I actually thought I was reading the wrong thing at the beginning, but no, it's right. Um,
It's funny how the
I'd like
book.
to hear your. Sorry.
So it's funny how like the topic or like the title on the top of the page is desire and sexuality.
I know, right? I was reading it, and
Yeah.
people walked past by me, and they're like, "What are you reading?" I was like, "Assignments."
It's also funny that he says two short articles.
Yeah, because they're not short. But that's perfect because this is him telling us this is what he considers short, and to us it's like something different to what we consider short. Just like love, you know, they've got two different perspectives on what love really is, and I
Mhm.
think it's very complex. Like one talks about things that we desire, or we desire certain things which attracts us to a person that makes us love them, but it's our thoughts that makes us love them first
Mhm.
before the action, or is it the action before the thoughts? I can't. Yeah, I thought that was interesting. Like
Wait,
how the butler,
can you say
that's the
that
story of
again?
the butler.
I'm gonna type it out.
Oh, I don't know what I just said. um, I was just saying how, so the first writer, I think that's loose, yeah, the one that's about design sexuality, what I got from it was that um, love develops through our thoughts first, like our desires of a person. Like we picture this person, but we only take from them like the good things that we find attractive, and then we just make this image, which eventually makes us fall in love with them. I don't know. There was something that was said. I'll just find my notes. Um, we have these expectations that we want someone to fulfill, and that's only derived by desires that we have about a certain someone, and when they fulfill those desires or expectation, it makes us love them. But is it that we're seeing them as a person or as an object?
Yeah, I was just reading that right now.
Yeah, so. But then there's the other love where we love them, I love a person without expectation. So there's one about loving someone because of the expectations that we have, and then just loving someone without those expectations.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Loving
I don't know.
someone.
It's like going back to the topic of the being an object, like loving something or loving someone. This doesn't make that person just an object to fall in love with, but it's something shared.
Mm. I think it kind of became quite complicated for me. Like I was like, okay, do I even really know what love really is now? It's just like, wow. But I mean, I think you guys are in perfect positions because you're both in relationships.
Hmm.
So I feel that's more relevant to you two. So I'd like to hear what you have to say about all of this, as opposed to what I would say.
Well, I'm trying to look for a specific quote that I saw earlier. Um,
So, um, in the story of Age of Innocence, um, he was talking about how romantic love emerged, and oh no, yeah, Lily talked about that. He says that when we fall in love, we position the person who is the object of our love in the place of the ideal of ego, which will enable us to perceive ourselves in a new way, such as compassionate, lovable, beautiful. Uh, it also says that because of the ideal, I can't even read what I write.
mm,
Ideological.
Because of the ideal we invest in the person that we love, we feel shame in front of her, so we try to fascinate the person. Yeah, basically that's what it says. I don't even know what it means.
it's interesting
So,
because the first one is more like a story,
yeah,
while the second one is actually a literal like article, something she's writing about love.
totally agree.
So I guess to answer the first question, because the first question is what does
What it
love mean for these writers? So because the first writer is basically telling stories of love that she could be saying, or is it a he?
he Blackhunt's, is that a he name? Is that a he? I don't know.
The first one is a she, isn't it?
Yeah,
Oh,
both of them are she's actually.
yeah,
Yeah. So
yeah,
I think
both
this
of
is
them.
Lucy. So well, Lucy's I guess is trying to say that love is life itself. You know, she
Love
she
is
she's
life
telling
itself.
the yeah she's telling stories of these people who have memories of their past, memories of their fathers. This butler falls in love with other people, so
Hmm.
it could maybe be interpreted that love is life, and it's something that everybody's trying to seek after. Whereas the second writer, um, Renata, like how Lily was saying earlier about it, like love isn't technically toward an object or objective. It's more of like how I said to you, like a shared thing. Where because there's where right here it says I love to you thus means I do not take you for a direct object nor for an indirect object by revolving around you. It is rather around myself that I have to revolve in order to maintain the to you things to return to me. So it's something mutual. Because if the man and the woman feel the same, then they both revolve around each other.
You know where that quote came from? Calvin,
Which one?
the one that Brandon just said.
Yeah, it's in the second article, right?
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah,
It's the one that's underlined
yeah.
on page 2.
Just in case you wanted to add that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I got everything you guys said. Anything else to add about what is love?
Maybe. Oh, you can move forward
I
and
think we
answer the
went
other
through-
questions.
Yeah. Next question then?
Oh yeah.
Okay. The next
Wait,
question.
wait, sorry. So, um, so there's actually two writers. The first article is the first writer, and then the second article is the second writer. Is that true?
Mm-hmm.
Because I was reading the first article, and there's two stories inside. I thought it was like two articles. Okay, I got it now.
Yeah. Okay, so the next question is, how does love affect the way we see one another person? Hmm.
Well, you can take it back to the first story about the butler
Mm-hmm.
and the lady and how what was their names? Mr. Stevens and Miss Kenton.
Kenton,
You
yep.
know, and how they both had feelings for each other, but they had to be professional about it. And they always, it was, even though they had feelings, that it's like the work restricted them from really sharing how they felt about each other. But I mean, for me, from the butler's point of view, he was always professional, but in a way, he always seemed to find ways to be able to help those desires that he had to be able to keep close to her. Oh, I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
I know I just said. But like for me, I think that's quite relevant with that question. There, like, what does it say? Let me just have a look at my notes. How does love affect the way we see another?
There's
Well,
one
going back
part.
to that one story. Oh, sorry, Kevin, what were you saying?
Sorry, there's one part that Miss Kenton wants the butler to express to him, right? And she was like telling him that
Hello?
she was getting married,
Pardon?
hoping
Oh,
that he
hey,
would
what's up?
express the feeling.
No, I'm just on a conference call at the moment. Oh yeah, okay, is everything all good?
It's all good.
Okay,
Yeah,
okay, yeah. Okay, goodbye. Sorry guys.
no problem.
Sorry about that.
So
Oh,
what I was gonna say is we're not done, Kevin.
no, I'm done. I'm done. You can go
Okay,
ahead.
sorry. What I was gonna say is that in the first story, um, it's saying that the butler's feelings were kind of repressed, that he didn't want to show his emotions, and then the writer tied it into his memories and his experience in the past due to his father's death. So maybe that could be um,
That's what I should have said.
that could go along with that idea or concept of how we view other people.
And like just to back up what you said, Brandon, I like where it uses Freud's theory of dreams. How it
Mhm.
says like days residues are the events, the residues of the previous day that acquire new meaning in dreams because of the unconscious structure in which they get in bed. So
Mhm.
whatever Stephen thought of it, like at the end of the day, was primarily what was in his memory, which was Miss Keaton. And
Mhm.
so when you think about her, that's just something that he would always, I guess, dream of or just think of
Mhm.
constantly. So yeah, and like you said, he didn't really share his feelings. But they
Because it's really interesting, their story. Like, it says that they used to meet every evening in their private quarters for Coco. And they used to do all these things together. But he just represses those feelings.
Right, so
Doesn't this sound so familiar?
so
And like, YSA, this happens to everyone in YSA.
so if I understand this correctly, you guys are basically saying that it's about basically both of them are always dreaming about each other being together.
I think it's him about her.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Him to her.
Uh-huh.
Because it says that he like basically he wanted to go see her, but he didn't want to openly express that he wanted to go see her, so he made up excuses.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting. It's like he's such an introvert.
Yeah. Hey, but I love introverts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
They
mean,
got
I'm
my
slowly
back.
introvert.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. So how does the second writer um, connect this idea of how love affects the way we see another person?
I think one thing that he says is that people do not love if they do not speak about it. So like if you love someone, you talk about it. Like he talks about I love to you. It's like I respect you, I heal you, I praise you. And
Hmm.
yeah.
It's interesting because there's a question right here that says, "But how can a subject attach him or herself to be attached to another on a long-term basis? Or how can we prevent the length of this attachment from being dependent upon the judgment of a god the father or king, or like a civil authority, something like that?"
Whereabouts is that in the reading?
It's on the bottom of page 2, in the second reading. 'Cause
Oh,
it's
okay.
yeah, it's talking about possession. It's going back to like the whole idea of like being an object. So when we say we love to someone, it becomes possessive over that person, and then that's when the question is asked, but how can a subject attach him or herself for a long-term basis? And it's through that idea of like passion or love to be connected with somebody, like continuously revolving around that person. Yeah.
Yeah, I like what you just said.
Sorry.
No, I like what you just said. So.
Hmm. It's
And
interesting. There's a lot
I
to analyze.
I I think like from what I understand, he mostly emphasize about saying I love to you instead of like saying I love you. It's just like when
Hmm.
we say I love to you, we offer love to someone without any expectation. But like you say, like when we say I love you, we put someone like into like a role of an object.
Hmm. Yeah, that connects as well. Makes a lot of sense. Mm,
I think the third question kind of goes with this second one, like what you're just saying. Like it says, so the second question
oh
was,
yeah.
how does love affect the way we see another person? So does this necessarily need to happen as far as these writers are concerned?
Hmm. Okay, going back to that, I was just reading something right here. Let me try to find it again. It's right here. Man and woman, faithful to their identity, do not have the same intentionality, as they are not of the same gender, sorry, and do not occupy the same genealogical position. but they can make commitments to act together according to terms of agreement that render their intentionalities compatible, to build a culture of sexuality together, for example, or to construct a politics of difference. But then it goes on to say that nothing here then suggests marriage through a contract that snatches me away from one family to chain to another. Nothing subjects me like a disciple to master. Nothing takes away my virginity or halts my becoming within submission to another. So to answer that question, doesn't necessarily need to happen. Uh, Again, it goes back to some sort of religion that's mentioned in Renata's, the Lekel's writing, where she brought up something about a civil authority or God the Father or King to pass the judgment, or like the authority for marriage. So if you want to follow like morals dealing with any type of civil authority, then these things are necessarily do need to happen. The marriage and becoming to like coming to agree on ability. Sorry, I can't speak today. I'm sorry.
Nice, you're doing good. I'm just like, wow, okay, I'm just listening.
Yeah. So the intentions, so making it compatible.
So that's a really long statement. What do you want me to write?
Yeah, I'm sorry. um, you could connect. It's on the bottom of page 3, or like towards the middle of page 3. It says these intentionalities cannot be reduced to one. It's the 1, 2, 3, 4. It's the 5th paragraph. Pretty much the whole thing. It's talking about commitments and intention between genders. Because what a man seeks is different from what a woman seeks. Because our psychology is different. Like what we think is differs, and all those things. You know. So how then could a man and a woman be compatible? That's what it goes on to talk about in the no, so on the 8th paragraph, and actually going back to the bottom of the 2nd page, where it starts to talk about marriage, and when marriage comes into play, is the man and the woman basically contract themselves to each other to be compatible, where they um, what's the word? They agree to be compatible in certain areas or to have the same intentions.
So basically, all this needs to have to happen to like take place for.
Yeah, so for the second writer, this necessarily does need to happen.
Second writer doesn't necessarily need to happen. Is there any
Sorry?
is there anything to like back up the statement for the second writer that this does not need to happen?
Actually, thinking about it again, I think it does need to happen concerning the second writer.
Okay, that's one thing that he says. The second writer, he's like, love does not call for an answer, although we usually think so.
What is love? Baby, don't hurt me. Don't hurt me no more.
Are you guys there?
Lily, what do you have to say?
Um, I don't have to say anything actually. I'm trying
Yeah.
my best just to listen actually. Just listening.
It's because the way that these writers like wrote everything, there's so much to analyze to get like a simple answer for these questions. Yet by just reading the whole thing, we get the answer for the questions. If you understand what I'm saying.
What's that about?
All right. Next question.
The last question.
The Lost says, do you agree with the definitions of love that these writers use? Um, I believe with the second writer, Renata Seleko's idea of love because she brings up the idea of marriage. And coming from this gospel perspective, you know, like marriage is eternal, therefore love is eternal, and we know that too because coming from the perspective of our gospel and doctrine, is we were created off of love. That our Heavenly Father loved us so much that He gave us our bodies to come to this earth, and to continue with that love, we find a partner to love and carry on this plan. You know, so I agree with what the second writer is saying because she brings up that idea of marriage. And also, I love that idea of loving somebody doesn't make them an object, rather something that you both revolve around each other. Like, after reading that, that's just stuck in my head forever now.
But loving someone doesn't make her an object. It makes you want to hold them close.
Sorry, one more time.
Loving someone doesn't make her an object. It makes you want to hold them close. Is that what you say?
Yeah, exactly.
Because that's different to how Gary, I can't even say
Yeah.
the name. Yeah, how they see love as. She sees it more as like, you know, we're putting that person who we love in a role as the object, not as a person. And that's merely because of our expectations of what we want that person to do, and because that she sees it a bit different to how, or like what you said about Seliki, or I can't even say her name, about marriage. Now, I'll be honest, I didn't read too much into what she had to say the second one, and so I'm just letting what she mentioned about it. But I mean, I do agree with what you say because of, you know, our understanding of the gospel and marriage. You know, that would tug us more to agree with their definition of love because it's something that we've been immersed in, and it's something where we have common agreements with, as opposed to the other lady where love is more about objects and pleasure, or well, pleasurable objects. But there was something else that I liked, where I was talking about her concept. The second one, I liked it. Well, it was in Brother. Oh, I forgot our teacher's name.
Hancock.
Hancock, yeah. And his was sorry. And one of I like something when he said how he said something like love has to do with language. So love is something that happens as we say it, and like so we know, like for example, if we want to relate it to us and YSA, it's like it's hard for us to say that word when we're dating someone for so long because we know how sacred and important that is to be able to show that type of affection towards someone else. But the more that we say it, the more that we tend to fall in love with that person. And, you know, and I like that because in the world today, it's not something that, well, yes, it is a word that can be used and abused, but then, like, if we're looking at it the way from this lady and how important marriage is, I mean, love is just as important as well. and we don't take it for granted for that eternal perspective, that one that we want to be with. It's something that takes time, a lot of hard work and effort, and I just like that because it says, it doesn't happen easily. It takes a lot of hard work and.
Yeah.
Mm.
I think that pretty much sums up that question.
Yeah. Don't ask me to repeat myself, Calvin.
Got it.
Just send it in a text.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean,
Oh, sorry.
sorry. No, you go.
Oh, I was gonna say, I think we just reached the half-an-hour mark. If anybody was taking time.
Happy birthday. Awesome, I'm happy with that. Yeah, someone needs to go. Who's the one going on a date?
On a date?
Calvin.
Oh, not me. Gonna have to finish up the writing.
Oh, it's Brandon.
Yeah, and
You're
you.
the one going.
On a date? What?
Yeah, you see, you need to go somewhere else at 7 p.m., right?
Yeah, I do.
Oh, okay.
But my 7 p.m. is like your 7 p.m. is my 5 p.m. So.
Yeah. No, it's not a date. It's just activity night in my ward.
Okay. Is Charmaine gonna be there? Charmaine?
No, she doesn't come on Wednesdays.
Shaman, is that your girlfriend's name?
Oh,
Yeah, Charmaine.
Shaman.
Okay, so does anybody else have anything to add?
no.
Alright. Then I would like to close the Google Hangout with a word of prayer.
Ah!
Alright,
Okay, I'm gonna hang up now.